A teenage girl walking home with a depraved driver close behind.
It was just a super scary incident for any young girl or any child.
It's a revolting encounter in Spanaway, and detectives hope you can help stop it from happening again. All smash and no grab at a Redmond pot shop.
They didn't get in, but they did manage to dent the building.
How the owner says this failed heist underscores a flaw in city code. A mother confronts her son's killer.
And you really think that God told you to kill my son?
See the heated moments that had the judge calling for order in the court tonight in the Spotlight.
The Spotlight brought to you by Beacon Plumbing.
A 16-year-old girl stalked on her way home from high school. This video from neighbors in Spanaway shows a driver creeping up on the teen who told deputies the man behind the wheel exposed himself and started doing disgusting, perverted things while making sexually graphic comments. This guy is a real predator. Thanks for joining us for the Spotlight. I'm David Rose. Pierce County Sheriff's deputies are hoping that you can help track down that driver. It's a high-priority case for the department. The Spotlight's A.J. Janavel says investigators are worried there are more victims out there.
A quiet Spanaway neighborhood terrorized by a sicko.
It was just a super scary incident for any young girl or any child to be walking home from school and you got a car and an unusual male subject that pulls up beside you.
I spoke to the victim and her family this afternoon. Understandably, they did not want to go on camera, but they want the story out there to get this creep off the streets.
How disturbing something that would be for any young child or youth to have to witness that.
Surveillance video I got from neighbors shows the entire incident. The suspect pulls up to the teen, speeds away, then loops around after realizing he drove down a dead-end street. Unfortunately, investigators tell me this video only provides so much evidence.
We're not able to read the license plate. We don't have a lot of information on the vehicle or the driver. So we are asking citizens to help us out.
The traumatic situation happened less than a mile from Cedar Crest Middle School. Deputy Carly Capetto with the Pierce County Sheriff's Office tells me finding this suspect is a top priority.
We are concerned that it's not isolated to just one juvenile, and that if this has happened in the past, we do want other juveniles to come forward and report inappropriate behaviors like this.
For the Spotlight, I'm A.J. Janavel.
So if you live along 8th Avenue East in Spanaway and have a street-facing camera, investigators are hoping to receive more video of that blue sedan from February 7th around 3 p.m. And here's a QR code where you can submit video evidence in this case to the Pierce County Sheriff's Office. Renton police have arrested a dangerous fugitive, and it's all thanks to a Crime Stopper tip from one of you, a Spotlight viewer. The Violent Crime Unit captured Alberto Nunez. He was hiding in a closet.
Show me your hands. Put them up.
The Crime Stoppers tip led officers to a home in Burien on Tuesday. Renton police say Nunez is a known gang member, considered armed and extremely dangerous, who's made threats to kill law enforcement and their families. Back in October, court documents say Nunez shot a friend through the wrist and chest, tossed the gun, and ran off 2 blocks before they got to the hospital so he wouldn't go to jail. He was wanted on multiple warrants, including assault and 2 counts of illegal possession of a firearm.
When he was arrested in a closet, the officers located a rifle that the occupants of the home indicated belonged to Nunez. So we are going to conduct some forensics testings to determine whether or not he had possession of that weapon illegally again.
Nunez was arrested last year on a warrant for domestic violence assault, but was released after Judge Veronica Galvin lowered his bail from $100,000 to $10,000. He's currently being held on a bail of $37,500. Now, that would be increased if another gun charge is added. We're going to track it and keep you posted. A teen accused of a violent crime spree now facing the music. Here's 18-year-old Madden McGraw walking into King County Court. He's the suspect in a string of purse snatchings targeting elderly women in grocery store parking lots. In court, McGraw's attorney argued that he has supportive parents and should be released on personal recognizance because he has no prior criminal history. However, prosecutors say detectives found an arsenal of stolen guns in his bedroom at his dad's apartment in Federal Way, and that his dad was aware of the guns. In an effort to get McGraw released, his attorney pointed out his parents are divorced.
Mr. McGraw would go stay with his mother. She's got strict house rules, and so we would ask that one of the conditions of electronic monitoring would be that he would follow the house rules.
Prosecutors argued McGraw committed the purse snatchings while on conditional release for 2 juvenile cases, including ramming a stolen car into a Redmond pot shop to burglarize it. In these new charges, he's accused of shoving a 72-year-old woman to the ground at a Bellevue grocery store, breaking her back and stealing her purse.
I can tell the court that this has caused significant suffering for her. She was in bed for multiple weeks following this incident, and at this point she's just extremely fearful of leaving her residence.
Judge Brian McDonald denied the defense request to release McGraw and set his bail at $250,000. Investigators say McGraw had a 15-year-old accomplice in the purse snatching spree, and body cam video from Renton Police, their violent crime unit, shows the moment that suspect was caught in Tacoma.
Walk backwards towards me now. You in the gray jacket, start walking backwards.
The 15-year-old was arrested along with 2 other teens. Detectives say they were in a car with cash, cocaine, and 6 stolen handguns. When the 15-year-old appeared in court, Judge Joe Campagna sternly rejected any pretrial release.
You will remain here in secure detention with no release at any time for any reason until every one of your cases is fully done, and that includes all the new filings.
That 15-year-old was already on juvenile probation before the arrest, but prosecutors say he cut off his ankle monitor. He and McGraw are facing felony charges of robbery, assault, and identity theft. It's been just over 6 years since this man, Matthew Colson, was killed in a hit and run in Marysville. He was only 24 years old. On February 16, 2019, police say Matthew was hit by a dark-colored SUV while he was crossing Northeast 64th Street near 58th Drive. That driver who hit him has never been identified. Investigators released this surveillance video showing a dark, possibly 2-toned, smaller SUV that drove by the YMCA on 64th Street just after 7:30 that night. Seconds later, a different angle shows the brake lights flash when the driver hit Matthew. Police say he was either carried on the hood or knocked almost 60 feet down the street. On the night Matthew died, it was raining and dark out, and he crossed where there's no crosswalk. I spoke with Matthew's parents after he was killed, and they told me they didn't feel vengeance toward the driver, but they were very hurt that someone would just leave them on the ground.
It would be better to deal with it now than to can't even imagine living with that kind of guilt all your life.
If you have any information about the driver or can tell Marysville police what happened that night, submit a tip to Crime Stoppers or call the police department directly.
I don't know why you murdered him. I don't know why. I don't feel sorry for you, Finley.
But I feel like the family deserves to hear from me personally that I made a mistake.
A mother's pain and a killer's apology. Emotions ran high inside a Snohomish County courtroom after Finley Hildy pleaded guilty to 2 counts of second-degree murder. Hildy killed Jacob Hansen in Burlington in 2022, and the very next day, he killed Jordan Hurtado in Granite Falls. The families of both victims wanted Hildy to hear their words, and as you're about to see, they were not very interested in hearing his.
Every day I wish I could take you back.
But Finley Hildy knows he can't take back what happened in Skagit and Snohomish counties in 2022.
So I would just like to say I'm sorry. I had never meant for any of this to happen. I'm sorry.
He shot and killed Jordan Hurtado at a quarry in Granite Falls on August 20th. At times in the courtroom, Hurtado's mom could barely speak.
I don't know why. I don't know why he did this.
Hildy told investigators he didn't know Hurtado before his murder. But after a confrontation at a way station, he claimed he heard God give him permission to shoot him. Hurtado's mother doesn't buy it.
And you really think that God told you to kill my son? Well, I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
The day before Hurtado's murder, Hildy killed Jacob Hansen outside an apartment complex in Burlington. His sister described him as a happy-go-lucky guy.
Jacob loved the outdoors. When he wasn't spending time with us, he still found a way to go fishing and camping with many of his friends.
As the judge prepared to hand down Hildy's sentence, Hurtado's mom became overwhelmed with grief and wanted to address the judge herself.
Can I say something?
Ms. Hurtado, I'm about to pronounce my sentence. If you want to say one thing.
I would like him to look at me.
So here's the situation, Ms. Hurtado, and
I want to see his face.
Ms. Hurtado, so I have so much empathy for what
I understand, but my dad taught me to look in the face when something went wrong, and he didn't. He killed my son.
Ms. Hurtado, I don't want to cut you off.
I want to see his
but I have
face.
to keep order in this court, and I truly have been giving you as much consideration as I can in terms of bending those rules, in terms of addressing the court. So, Ms. Hurtado, I understand why you're making that request, but I'm not going to order Mr. Hildy.
Why won't you look at me then? He murdered my son.
Hildy took a plea deal on the 2 murder convictions. The judge sentenced him to 25 years behind bars. You and I both know he'll never serve that long. With good time, he's already got more than 3 years, and with good time, he'll be out in about 18 years, and that's being optimistic. Hurtado's mom tells us she's very frustrated. He will not be spending more time in prison, and I don't blame her. It was November 13th, 2022, when 4 University of Idaho students were brutally stabbed to death in their off-campus home. For 47 days, the college community was gripped with fear until suspect Brian Kohberger was arrested. Now, more than 2 years later, Kohberger is preparing to face trial in August. Big news this week, the judge in the case denied a motion by his attorneys to throw out all the DNA evidence and ruled the search warrants for his car, apartments, and cell phone will stand. Here's a portion of the first episode in our docuseries, Brian Kohberger, Inside the Idaho Murders.
This case is not going cold. We have tips coming in. We have investigators out every day interviewing people. We're still reviewing evidence.
There are still more questions about the murders that remain unanswered, with a murderer still on the loose 25 days after these slayings.
In the first few days after the murders, it was a little bit frustrating because the police were not putting out a lot of information. And so there was a lot of speculation about what happened. You see these beautiful young women that get murdered, and you start thinking back to the days of Ted Bundy. I mean, this is an area famous for serial killers here. We've got Gary Ridgway. We've got horrible murders that scarred communities for years, that had women looking over their shoulder everywhere they went.
It's been days since the police department released any new information in this case. The last major update was released 2 weeks ago on December 7th. That's when police say they were looking for a white Hyundai Elantra spotted near the crime scene the night of the murder.
You know, there was a time there where police were holding these news conferences, but they had really nothing new to report. I'm sure he was probably watching that too, right? What do you think was going through his mind then?
What happened?
Yeah, I think all the way up until he was caught, there was a sense that he was smarter than everybody. And now there's a cat and mouse game going on with the authorities. And on the other hand, if he wants the attention and wants to be caught, he would have felt excited. I would think that there's a level of, okay, now they're getting on to me. Now, how long is this going to take?
I think as the case stretched on, the public was getting very, very irritated and just wanted to know who the killer was.
Well, today, the Moscow police issued a press release with no new information, only updated numbers on how many tips they've received. They've gotten more than 7,600 emails, 4,300 phone tips, and 4,500 photo submissions. Police keep saying cyber sleuths are causing issues for police investigating this case.
Oh, I'm sure people thought they were helping. I'm sure they thought they were scouring these videos that everyone else was looking at, and perhaps they saw something in these videos that maybe police missed, or maybe someone else, an investigator, missed. But I think there's a difference between you calling someone and saying, you know, police, I saw this in a video, versus me starting a TikTok and saying, I know who the criminal is, I know who's behind this, when really you didn't.
Now, a history professor from the University of Idaho is suing a TikToker for spreading rumors. TikTok personality Ashley Gillard accused Professor Rebecca Schofield of the murders. The lawsuit, filed Wednesday, points to a number of videos posted to the platform that attempted to tie the teacher to the killings. The TikTok personality posted a video yesterday saying she is not going to stop posting videos.
Photos start getting leaked of the girls who are out the night before they're killed. They're out getting some food. You start to see the guy they're with. And so the public, the online community starts latching on this. These keyboard crime fighters start trying to solve the case. They must be that guy. He was with them. You can see they start trying to analyze their body language, start trying to look at how they acted.
The Moscow police kind of were non-existent in the reporting that we're doing. I don't remember going to any specific press conferences where police were kind of providing information. A lot of what we were getting was through social media. It was through Facebook, and it was tough. It was almost as if we were walking through a movie set that the cast wasn't on. And so this was the first time that we saw that community of that school fully with that concern of, are we safe here?
Nearly 3 weeks after the gruesome stabbing deaths of 4 University of Idaho students, their pairs will be coming together tonight to finally say goodbye. And what makes this case especially terrifying is that the killer is still on the loose.
Fox 13's AJ Janovo joins us live from the KB Activity Center in Moscow, where that vigil is set to begin at 5 p.m.
That was the first time, realistically, that we heard their names said correctly. That was the first time we heard about these young adults, who they were.
The beauty of what they have and what makes them special.
Such a happy, such a great kid, such a perfect little baby.
Because everything up until this point had just been like a picture and a name. And that was the first time that we had heard from the people that it truly impacted.
To make sure that you spend as much time as possible with those people, because time is precious and it's something you can't get back.
Toward the end of the evening, the dome went dark, but only briefly, as members of the community illuminated the dome using their phones, a reminder that even in the darkness, there's a path forward.
I think, at the end of the day, it was terrible, but the entire state came together and they were able to, grieve together and support these families together. And sometimes that, something beautiful could be born out of tragedy. And that was something really beautiful to see.
And we ask that the memory of Ethan, Kaylee, Xana, and Madison be a light that dispels the shadow of these days.
Do you think he attended the memorial, the vigil that happened?
I would guess that he would have, yes. He wants to see, how much damage he did. The more damage, the happier he would be.
It's another part of their work, if you will, of their art piece. This is a part of it. It's like, I've done this thing and now I get to see, how people are responding to what I did. It's pretty egocentric.
But it's hard to murder 4 people and not leave evidence behind, no matter how smart you are. I saw so much speculation online about the killer, about the motive, about somebody seen on video with the girls the night they were murdered. And I talked to a lot of detectives about this, and pretty much every one of them said, just ignore that. That's just noise. That's not evidence. These days, they rely a lot on the science, and ultimately it was the science that led to the identification of Kohberger. And there is so much more. You can watch the full first episode of Brian Kohberger, Inside the Idaho Murders, right now on the Fox local app on your TV, on the Fox 13 Seattle YouTube page, or you can listen to it anywhere you download podcasts. It's free. The second episode in this docuseries will be released in early March. Caught on camera in Redmond, a crew of would-be burglars trying to smash their way into a pot shop. Surveillance video shows a stolen car backing into the business twice. It wasn't enough, though, to bust the doors open, but it did plenty of damage. It's not the first time this business has been hit, or even the fifth. The co-owner tells us in the past year and a half, thieves have crashed into his shop 6 times.
We tried to stop this before frankly, at the very first crash. We've been fighting with the city for the last year and a half to try to get a permit to put some bollards in, some posts in the ground that keep cars from getting up on the sidewalk. And the city has been fighting us tooth and nail every step of the way.
Over the summer, #Cannabis installed these cinder blocks, but the city of Redmond had a problem with that too. Logan Bowers says their business was threatened with a $1,000 fine for every day they weren't removed. The city eventually backed off on the fines, but Bowers says he's still not allowed to install bollard posts simply because it's against city code.
This isn't normal, and this shouldn't be happening, and an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. It is especially tragic that they refuse to let us prevent these crimes.
The cinder blocks did help prevent thieves making it inside during the most recent crash, but Bowers says the damage will cost $20,000 to $30,000 $1,000 to repair. A Lego shop in Pierce County is out thousands of dollars after someone broke in and loaded a U-Haul with high-end collectible sets. Cell phone video shows at least one burglar loading up the stolen merchandise. A neighbor started recording after the U-Haul bumped into the storefront. This happened around 5 a.m. on February 13th at Sasquatch Bricks in University Place. The owner of this mom-and-pop shop tells us more than a dozen Lego sets were stolen, collectively worth about $10,000.
It was a little bit of everything. There was Star Wars, there was Ninjago, there were a Saturn V rocket, a Disney castle. They were literally in here under 5 minutes. Took the stuff, threw it in the back of a U-Haul, and away they went.
The thief or thieves were gone before police arrived. The owner says he's alerted other Lego shops and community groups in case someone tries to sell the stolen merchandise. Some of the missing Lego sets are listed on your screen, including the Millennium Falcon, Batman's cowl, and Wolverine's claw. Anyone with information on this burglary should contact University Place Police or the Pierce County Sheriff's Office. That's going to do it for tonight on The Spotlight. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week. Until then, I'm David Rose. Please stay safe.